Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beauty Beyond the Ashes podcast, where we talk all things forgiveness, restoration, freedom, healing, and wholeness so that you and I can walk into God's purpose and calling for our lives with courage and boldness. I am your host, Tanya B. Jones. I am the author of the newly released Pearls in the Pews, bringing post-abortion healing to the church and the church. And I am here today because something has stirred in my spirit to give some explanations for a few things. So that's what I'm going to do today. But before I do that, I want to welcome anyone here who is new to the podcast. If you are finding me for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. I pray that something said will be a blessing and keep you coming back. If you have been with me for a while, if you are an OG, I say thank you so very much. I am so grateful for the comments that I have been receiving. They have been so uplifting and inspiring and encouraging. And I'm also grateful because the comments that I receive, that is what God uses to spark further conversation, spark further information, spark further encouragement. So I am grateful for anyone who leaves a comment, who poses a question, who sends an email of gratitude. All of it is what God used to cultivate more. So I am so grateful for all of you who continue to pour into me, continue to encourage me, and continue to push me. It really does. So I am grateful for you all. And because of that, I am here to talk about and expand upon what I talk about here, which one of the things is the abortion wounded. So in the book, and in the community, we are beginning to understand that abortion can create a wound for so many people. And many people, sometimes wounds heal on their own, and they don't need any additional care, right? They are able to walk this path of forgiveness, restoration, freedom, all of that. God walks with them, just the two of them, and they are able to traverse that terrain on their own. But then there are many of us who run into a wound and we let it fester. We let it sit for too long before we take that wound to the physician. We take that wound in for care. So what happens is the wound can become infected, right? Last week we talked about shame, and shame is a part of the infection of the wound that needs to be taken care of. So when we go and we bring our wound to the great physician, he handles the ultimate care of that wound, healing of that wound. But then he calls in ancillary staff, let's say. Y'all know I'm a retired registered nurse, so I'm using this analogy from my own experience. So the doctor gives us orders as a nurse. And then we have nurses, we have respiratory therapists, we have nursing assistants, we have physician assistants, we have all of the staff that helps to carry out the prescriptions, things that are prescribed for us to do to get this patient's wound healed, right? So I consider myself as one of those people who God has called to help heal the wounds of abortion. So the people who I'm helping are the abortion wounded, right? So let's talk about the abortion wounded. Those wounds are brokenness, right? And that brokenness can occur from an abortion. It's the brokenness of heart. It's the brokenness of our soul. And when that festers too long, it can present a brokenness of spirit as well. So there are symptoms that come along with wounds. When you're in the hospital, or when the physician or nurse practitioner or someone sends you home, they tell you signs to look for. They tell you redness, swelling, warmth to the touch, anything that oozes from the wound. It may give you a description of color. If there's a certain smell, those are all symptoms that a wound is not healing like it's supposed to. There's the same thing for an abortion wound as well. And the h3helpline.com does a phenomenal job of providing us with those symptoms. And I, in my book, use that as a reference to describe the wounds, the symptoms that you may see of these wounds. So I want to go over that with you right now. And I'm just going to talk about this list. And if you are associated with an abortion, some of these may apply to you. And I'm saying associated right now because I will explain that in a moment. So the wounds of abortion may have these symptoms: bouts of crying, depression, guilt, inability to forgive yourself, intense grief and sadness, anger, rage, emotional numbness, sexual problems or promiscuity, eating disorders, lowered self-esteem, drug and alcohol abuse. And there are several more that are on here. You can go to the H3 Helpline website, or you can get my book. It's listed in here as well. So in these signs, these symptoms, you may experience one or more or all of them, depending on how deep that infection goes, right? So there are these abortion wounds that happens. Now, I want it to be clear and understood that the abortion wounded are those who are wounded by the decision of abortion. And many people do not realize that the abortion wounded can extend to more than just the person who has the abortion, the woman herself, right? So in the book, I talk about the abortion wounded woman because I'm coming from my perspective as an abortion wounded woman, right? But we have to understand, and I want people who are listening who may have these signs and symptoms who have not had an abortion. For instance, abortion wounded can apply to the father of the child who was aborted. That father can have all of these same symptoms because he's abortion wounded. There are those people also who are associated with the abortion that can be abortion wounded. For instance, a person who takes a person to get an abortion later on may have regrets of even driving that person to the abortion facility. That person may have guilt, regret, may have flashbacks of seeing their loved one coming from the back and the sadness on their face, and they can't get over that. They have this intense guilt, and they can't talk to anybody about it because they don't want to tell anybody that they took this person that they love. They don't want to expose that person's information. They don't want to expose themselves for their part in it. So they live and they suffer in silence for this. That person is abortion wounded. The father of the child, abortion wounded. The person who may have accompanied can be abortion wounded. A person who pays for an abortion later on may have regrets that they provided a means for the abortion. They could have regret, be angry with themselves for what they did. And that person will be considered abortion wounded. Many of us don't realize that when a mother or father finds out that their child had an abortion, that grandmother can be abortion wounded. They now know that there was a grandchild that was supposed to be that isn't. That person is abortion wounded. There can be regret, there can be hurt, there can be dreaming of what that child would have been like when they see their other grandchildren, right? Abortion wounds go wide. I said this last week. The wounds of abortion is widespread, and the shame, the silence, widespread. So please understand that when we're talking about healing from the wounds of abortion, it goes so much deeper than, and I don't want to use the phrase just the woman, because only. It goes so much deeper than only the person who has the abortion. It extends. And then the woman who had the abortion, when she's going through her grieving process, the people who are around her, who she does share it with, they are wounded just watching her go through this process, especially when a woman has regret right after. And you all, if you've never, if you're hearing about this kind of stuff for the first time, and a woman comes back from having an abortion, and let me say this, because I know I get in the comments, this don't happen to everyone. You are correct. You are correct. It doesn't happen to everyone, but I'm one that it happened to. I know people, I walk with people who this has happened to, so I know they exist. Those are the ones I'm talking to. So for women who have an immediate regret, my friend Latoya Matthews, she has a book out. She talks about her abortion experience. She speaks about her abortion experience. And she says, on that morning she went, and then that evening when she sat down on her bed, immediate, what have I done? What have I done? There are many people who walk through that experience right there, where the weight of it happens immediately. What have I done? There's no corrective measure for that. There's no going back. There's no take backs from that decision. It is done. Now you have to deal with it. What do? Do you immediately ask for help? Do you immediately, or do you allow the enemy to say, I got her? Now I'm going to really go in on her and make her regret and live in shame and live disconnected from the true calling that God had because of this one decision. Y'all, I'm about to get to preaching, so let me calm it down a little bit and get back to the message that I'm supposed to be delivering today. So the message is, for those of you who sometimes may experience sadness, depression, regret from your involvement, you too are abortion wounded and deserve to be healed from that abortion wound. It's not, although mine, no, let me say this. Although the book that I have written is specific and really hones in on the heart of the woman who has had the abortion, I have to take this time right now, because of the coaching that I've done with those connected to abortion. I have to extend this information as well, that you too deserve to be healed. You too deserve to be released from the guilt of your participation. You too deserve to be healed, whole, and made free. You too are being called by God to heal the wound of abortion to your heart. So I just want people to identify if you are in need of healing and to speak to God about how he wants you to walk into the healing that he offers for your heart. I am excited about what God is doing in the abortion healing, abortion recovery, the restoration of hearts, the restoration of families as a product of that restoration of the heart. It just as far wide as the wound goes, the same happens for the healing. It extends so far, it's far reaching when we go on a healing journey of any kind with our hearts, and I speak primarily on the heart of the abortion wounded, but it's for any wound that we heal. It has a far-reaching advantage and benefit in the kingdom family, in the kingdom community, in society, in your nation. It is far-reaching, y'all. But I just wanted to stop by and say that. Listen, if you haven't gotten your book yet, Pearls in the Pews, Bringing Post-Abortion Healing to the Church, I implore you to do that. You can do that at my website, tanyabjones.com/Pearls in the Pews book. tanyabjones.com/Pearls in the Pews book. If you are looking for a speaker for your event, I am available to book some dates for 2025. Any of your pregnancy resource centers doing their benefits, I am available for booking any women's conferences that you are talking about healing. I am available for that. That is my call to the ministry. So you can reach out to me at info@tanyabjones.com, info@tanyabjones.com. Shoot me an email. And of course, I always want to hear your comments. If you are listening on your favorite platform, especially Apple, go ahead and leave a review. If you are watching on YouTube, hey y'all, go ahead and leave a comment. I love reading comments. And if you want to reach out to me personally, which is one of my favorite things, is when women or whomever reach out to me personally to share their experiences, to share something that spoke to them. Please go ahead and do that. You can do that at info@tanyabjones.com or at bbta@tanyabjones.com. And that BBTA is for Beauty Beyond the Ashes at tanyabjones.com. BBTA@tanyabjones.com. Well, it's time for me to get on out of here. It is so wonderful to always impart something to you. And I pray that today this message spoke to you and began the healing process of your heart. Until next time, remember this: don't be so uncomfortable with the darkness of your past that you're too fearful to walk into the light of your future. I'm Tanya B. Jones. I love you, but God loves you more. Bye.